Hey guys, so we are going to go over and review a little bit about lines to help you with your line review on Edulastic. So there are three types or three ways that you can write the equation of a line. There's point slope form that uses a point and a slope. There's slope intercept form, which also uses a point and a slope, but the point is the y-intercept on the y-axis. And then the third is called standard form. So all of those are already laid out for you here in this video. And so I just want to quickly do a little recap. So again, to write the equation of a line, you need two things, a slope and a point. So you can either write the equation of this graph by using point slope form or slope intercept form. So if we use point slope, it would look a little bit like this. First, we need to figure out what the slope is of this line. So to find that out, guys, you're looking for a spot where you can actually touch the graph in a nice way, aka in the corner of one of those grids. So right here, I'm seeing that I can do my slope probably between those 2 points. And the slope, remember, is rise over run. So we're falling down 1 and we're running over 2. So that means our slope is negative 1 over 2. Now all we need is the point. So I'm just going to use the point you started from. So the point here would be over to the left of 0, negative 2, and up 3. So negative 2 comma 3 is that blue starting point. Remember that point slope form, guys. The x goes with the x and the y goes with the y. So my y is 3. It goes here. And we also have our negative 2, which ends up making this now positive x plus 2. All right, now if we do this in slope intercept form, we know that our slope, again, is negative 1/2. And remember, the slope goes before x in your equation. And not only that, guys, but you also want to pay attention to the y-intercept. So a very specific point on your graph where your line touches this y-axis. And in particular, that's up there at not 1, but 2. So we're going to say plus 2 here at the end of that equation if we use slope intercept form. If you use point slope form, watch the signs. Remember, it's a minus sign in the original, and whatever you have as your point will determine whether you're positive or negative. All right. So taking a look here, guys, you can also be given a point and a slope. So all you have to do is insert what you know. So if I have the slope of 6, 6 goes here in our equation. And now we have the point. Remember, x goes with x and y goes with y. So y will have y minus 5, and x will be x minus negative 2, which ends up giving us a positive 2, ladies and gents. So if they give you a point and a slope, throw that equation as point slope form. That's what you're given. All right, now another question that you may be asked is, what is the equation in slope intercept form? So you want to pay attention to what format you may be wanting to write this equation in, of a line that goes through 2 points. So before you even begin, guys, we need to find the slope. So if you use your slope formula, guys, you'll do 6 minus 2 divided by the x's, 12 minus negative 4. So you get 4 over 16, but 4 over 16 can reduce. You can divide it by 4 from both top and bottom and get 1/4 as your slope. So right now we know that our slope is 1/4, even in our slope intercept form. All right, now we're going to use the point, one of the 2 points that are given. I'm going to use the second guy since it's positive. So remember, x goes with x and y goes with y. So 6 would go here and 12 would go here. Now, if we did this by hand, you would have to distribute and then add over the 6. And when you do that, you end up getting a y-intercept of positive 3. Now, another way you could do this is using Desmos, guys. So what I'm talking about when I say using Desmos is the fact that you can plot these 2 points. You can also give me the rise over run as long as you make Desmos go by ones so that you can count. So 1/4 is still our slope. But then you also want to pay attention to where do I touch the y-axis line, not using your slope in terms of the yellow slope here. We have to actually find it by using the slope by counting. Meaning we start with that lower point, -4, 2, and we're going to rise 1 and run 4. And you'll see that you will, in fact, touch that y-axis the first time you do that versus going further there. But you can also continue that pattern so you see where that slope is coming from to create the line. Remember, a line has a constant slope. So from here, guys, to find the y-intercept, all you need is to pay attention to where do I cross using my slope that's reduced or simplified. Where do I cross the y-axis? And I cross the y-axis up here at 3 from 0. So 3 is your y-intercept. So that's 2 different ways you can handle that situation. Feel free, guys, in Desmos, you can type in those points and they'll plot them for you, which is kind of nice. So we also talked about standard form. So this function or this equation is 4x minus 3y equals 9. This guy is in standard form. We learned how to change standard form into slope-intercept form, y equals, by taking away the x from both sides and then dividing by the number in front of y. So -3 is what we're dividing by. So we ended up getting -3, and instead of -4 divided by -3, guys, a negative divided by a negative makes that now positive 4 over 3x. And we swapped those around because the 4 over 3 represents our slope here, and our -3 represents our y-intercept. Now, there is another way you can write this into slope-intercept form, and you can use Desmos to do this as well. So if you actually graph the equation that you're given, that's in red, the 4x minus 3y equals 9, and you identify the y-intercept, which is right here on our y-axis line. We are down 3 from 0, so our y-intercept is -3, which you can find by hand or by using Desmos here. And then you also need to find the slope. Now, there's a couple of points here. We already have 1 point on our grid, but watch how you're trying to find me the next point. Remember, it must cross nicely. So something like right here. And that's where you can count your rise over your run. So we're rising 4 and we're running 3. That must be our slope in front of x as slope-intercept form. All right, now the last possibility that you may see is given some type of graph, they want you to decide which lines represent this graph. Now, there's a couple of ways you can handle this. First off, you could figure out what is your slope and check off your list who doesn't match the slope or who does. Another way you could do this is literally put in every single line into Desmos and see which lines match what you have on your grid. So it's a choice that you guys can make. It's up to you. But I'm noticing that this is a negative slope because I'm going down 8 and running 2 to the right. So therefore, our slope is actually -4, which means B is out because it does not have the right slope. Not only is B incorrect, but so is letter F. because it does not have the correct slope. So already, guys, I have a possible answer here that maybe letter A is. And how I know letter A works, guys, is I'm also checking out on my y-axis, and I'm down here at -5 as my y-intercept, and you see that right here, that I have a y-intercept of -5. So letter A is definitely an answer choice here that represents this line. We also have a possibility of letter E. Now, letter E is in point slope form, which means they are claiming right here that my x would be not +2, but the opposite, -2, and my y would be +3. So if I look at my graph, do I go over to the left from 0, -2, and do I go up 3? And the answer is yes, that's this point right here. So therefore, E is also a possibility. Now to decide if C or D is a possibility, ladies and gents, why don't we just graph them in Desmos and check it out? So if I go over here to Desmos and I look at my lines, my red line does not look like it matches what I see in the graph that's given. It's too sloped down low. So I believe it would be the second option, 4x plus y in blue, that would make the last possible answer here work. And that's it, guys. So time to work on your review on your own. So A, D, and E would match that line.